welcome to the Embers Podcast. I'm Mel, and I'm joined by Malcolm and James. Hello, boys.
What up?
Hello, Mel. How are you going?
Good. How are you?
I'm going well, and I'll let James contribute how he's going.
Yeah, I'm going well. No, it's just me messing, playing with you. You guys thought got me again, didn't you? But no, I'm here. Woo, let's go.
Yeah, just checking, James, are you with us for the entirety tonight, or
just a small portion of?
Got to go.
Nice work, James. All right, shall we get going?
Yeah,
all right, so we had the penultimate episode on Wednesday night of last week, so we'll see the finale this week, and we will have a final four after we get through talking through this one here. And that's when I don't know which one of us you're talking to, but I think it's apt that it could be myself or James, so I won't go as far to say that that's for Mel. But thanks for the compliment. James probably feels the same. So let's start this one. I'm going to ask your thoughts on the episode just as a whole first before we get into the discussion, because I felt that this episode was presented to us in a very different manner than we're used to seeing in probably just Survivor episodes full stop. We basically just went straight into the challenge, a whole lot of strategy talk, and the votes. So just to start us off, what did you think of just generally going down that track for this episode, James?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was fresh. I mean, yeah, so we weren't mucking around anything beforehand between the Tyler vote out to the challenge. I mean, it was straight to the point with the challenge, getting straight into it, and then more strategy talk, which, you know, there's something I absolutely love. It was effective. Worked out well.
What do you think, Mel?
Yeah, I liked it. Like, get into it. It was really, really good. I would rather have more strat time. And hello,
I have no idea what Aston's doing there. I think it's the wrong button. Yeah, so more strat time.
Sorry. Yeah, I definitely prefer to have more strat time than like the previous episode. We sort of they rehashed the previous tribal council. We've seen that, so yeah, I was keen for more. Definitely keen for more strat.
Look, and as we get into that very shortly, can I just say I think it was great credit to Sam and whoever else he's got working on the editing side of things, because I think that it was an episode where we had two really strong players in Lily and Andy going head to head, and when we get into the discussion about the strat, I think it really paid homage to both of them and the work that they're putting into the game before ultimately Andy goes tonight, but we'll get there later on. All right, so we got the local delicacies challenge here tonight, and we only had 4 participants. Our challenge beast, Kyle, I think he used to win challenges at some point in time, sat out of this one, and as we know, it was due to a food allergy. So we had the 4 of them start with, that being Andy, Liam, Lily, and Nick, with our mealworms. And my first take was they looked very unimpressed.
Before we get to that though, it wasn't the fact that Cole had an allergy to delicacies. The delicacies had an allergy to Kyle, because Kyle is such a challenge beast and couldn't handle it, or couldn't handle him. So
maybe.
That's not true. He has an allergy to seafood, and it says some of them might contain seafood. So
yeah. Anyway, so Mel, what do you think of the mealworms?
Yeah, I've had mealworms before when I did an Amazing Race challenge, and they were dry, and they basically were just like pretzels. So they were like oily pretzels. So I had absolutely no issue with mealworms. I think they actually kind of pop in your mouth and a little bit tasty. So
it's all up here, because they are just like a little crunchy snack. It's not something that I dine on frequently, but I've actually done all 3 of these in the past in some different challenge races. And just go for it. I do think there was one element that changes slightly. The idea that the hands are behind the back and you've got to come down and you're basically licking them straight onto the tongue, I think changes the challenge a little bit.
Yeah.
James, have you been there? Have you done the crickets, the mealworms, the ants?
I can't say I've done any of these three. So for me, you're saying it's something that would probably concern me a little bit. Or like I'd probably going home for it. But I mean, my opinion is probably the same as all three. Oh, so as Nick, as Lily's.
So we've got Madison, who I believe is one of your biggest fans, James, has just commented, who doesn't love these eating challenges? And Madison, if you get to play one day, then maybe we'll see you dining in fine style if you're lucky enough. So Liam takes down the mealworms, pretty much no worries whatsoever. But the challenge in that round is pretty much over pretty quickly when Andy seems to blow the mealworms across the table. And I think that saves Nick, who doesn't look keen on taking anything, and Lily, who was actually giving it a go. And we see Andy fall away in the round one. So Nick makes a great comment in here, and even though there's a legit reason for Kyle not participating in the challenge, how good was his comment with allergic to worms, eh? Who doesn't have an allergy to worms?
I do love Nick. He's so funny.
So, Mel, we see Liam, Lily, and Nick go into the next round, which is the crickets. Do you want to talk us through it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Liam and Lily just go hard, but I did laugh because you could tell there was no intention whatsoever for Nick to have a single cricket, but he just pretended so that he would, I'm assuming, and something I would do with my siblings as well, but he just wanted his sister to eat bloody crickets, so he pretended he was going to do it so that they'd have to eat some of them. So, yeah, I thought that was a good strategy.
I was thinking Nick may be an allergy to crickets.
I think, doesn't he play cricket?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, no, what
Go, Joe.
Liam's bowls the off spin. That's at 8. Bowls off spin. In fourth grade cricket.
Fair enough. So Nick basically quits. That was a quit. That was nothing more, nothing less. And we see Liam and Lily go into the third round. So we've got a mixture of the mealworms, crickets, and ants here. And James, can you talk us through how this went down?
How it went down? Oh boy! This was the showdown of the century. Lily, Liam. Essentially they all went gung ho. Just absolutely tackling, making a mess all over the table. I mean, Lily thought she'd been shouting friends to Sam, I got it. Sam's like, no, really, keep going. Liam, he kept on, he was kept through, looking pretty comfortable. The oiliness rinsed over his palate, enjoying it while Lily's frantically trying to get him down. So today, Liam emerged victorious.
It was a great win by Liam, and I have to say that if that handbag doesn't suit Liam better than anyone else in this game, I don't know who it does, because it's a fine look. But can I just make comment and tell me what you think? Last week, we saw the challenge where Lily was holding the stick lower than what she was supposed to, and Sam kicked her out of the challenge. And this week, Lily twice tries to appeal to Sam that she was finished, even though that we could tell she wasn't even close to finished. Is there some sort of grudge going on here? Like, is Sam just paying out on Lily and not giving her a fair go?
I don't know that that's true. Like, I actually felt like Lily was a little bit hard done by. Like, she looked pretty close to being finished. And we didn't actually remember seeing gross the inside of Liam's mouth, but like, didn't look like there was much of Lily's left. Sorry, Sam. But yeah, I thought it was Lily got a little bit hard done by then. That girl deserves that handbag of protection.
That's fair call.
No, I agree.
Fair call.
I think it was a little bit hard done by as well, because Sam almost kept on looking at Liam to see if he was finishing, like he was about to open his mouth, where Lily was still shouting. So yeah, I agree that it was maybe a little bit hard done by, but I think we've seen the Lily Green rivalry. We're at the Sam and Lily rivalry.
What was that last bit, James? The somebody Lily rivalry?
The Sam and Lily Green rivalry. We've seen the Nick and Lily rivalry.
Oh, absolutely. There is no love lost between the Green siblings at coming out on top of the other two, I don't think. I could imagine it was a very, very competitive household.
The funny thing is, if Lily had have not said Sam's name 20,000 times, she might have actually been able to maybe swallow a little bit quicker.
Now, Aston hasn't thrown this up. Aston's working away in the background here, and he'll throw up some comments. But Sam he goes now. Sam, you should have seen the mess still in Liam's mouth. Let's just say that. Now, I saw how closely Sam examined Liam's mouth, so I'm going to believe that he got a good look there. And the host knows best. We'll go there. So anyway, Liam is guaranteed safety, and we head back to camp for what is a huge strategy session. And obviously what becomes very clear from the beginning that it's going to be either Lily or it's going to be Andy. And I think the only name that even popped up slightly there was Kyle's for half a second, but really it was never there. So, James, start us off with some of the things that you took note of or that you were thought worth talking about during this strategy session.
Well, I think what the highlight for me during the strategy session, especially when under like the tent thing, was the random feet they were crawling through in the bottom corner from one of the cameramen. Yeah, there was some rose feet.
Well, on the positive, the feet didn't get a vote. On the positive, the feet didn't get a vote.
Okay, but no strategy. Yeah, strategy session. I mean, we see straight away Lily's throwing at Andy. Andy, called that Lily for not being subtle, and in return wants to vote out Lily for being a threat. Liam comes out straight away and says that he's tossed up between, like I said straight away, to both of those two girls. That is true. That's true. And then we a few groups emerge and chats start happening.
So if we just take half a step back before we got into that, we went straight to an Andy confessional, and one of the things that I noticed Andy talking about was the Tyler move, and she just discreetly puts out there, "I may have suggested it." Can I just put it out there that, Andy, I think you did way more than suggested. You drove that ship and you were a major part in seeing Tyler leave the game last week. I think you should own it, be proud of it, because it was a sensational move. But I certainly think it was more than just a suggestion.
She's thrown a friend under the bus. Like, you're going to pay the consequences in real life. Just own it.
Absolutely. So James brought up about Liam not wanting to write Kyle's name down. And so I give credit to you, Mel. You actually talked about this in last week's episode, the fact that if you flash back to episode 1, Liam didn't hesitate to choose Kyle, or Kyle didn't choose to hesitate to pick up Liam there. So give me your thoughts, because when they were talking about this and Nick was there as well, I couldn't help but think back a few episodes where Nick was giving us a little bit of the boys, and seeing it come together. Is this the 3 that is going to go to the end? Is what I was thinking at that point in time.
Yeah, I mean, as a girl, I must say I was kind of a small portion, even though I knew it wouldn't happen, there was a small portion of me that was like, come on, girls, work together. Like, like you were already outnumbered. It's definitely a trend, and I can definitely see it doing that. The only thing that I kind of feel like might happen is that Lily might finally get that hamburger of protection that she deserves. And I mean, the thing is, we don't know whether it's final 3 or final 2 yet. So,
and we'll Nick's talk about that shortly.
Yeah, Nick's already there regardless. But I don't know, like, it could very well be that. It's very clear that Liam and Kyle will stick together. Whether Nick stays that way, I think he probably will.
Well, I'll throw to James on the idea of where Nick may sit, because we've seen a lot of friendly banter between Nick and Lily throughout the series, and Nick seeming to have a bit of a wry smile whenever he gets one up on Lily. And there was a conversation there where Andy was talking to both, or firstly to Kyle, and basically telling Kyle why he should go to the final two with Andy herself, and then bringing Nick in as he walked back through, if I've got the names right here. And we then see Lily walk up to the three of them, and Lily wants to take the boys away to have a bit of a chat. You want to give us your thoughts there, James? What was going down, and how do you think they both handled the scenario, the situation?
Yeah, so Lily comes over, like, so Andy's talking to both Nick and Kyle, and then Lily comes over marching and wants to talk to them both, and eventually they come to a bit of a compromise in terms of, all right, Andy can talk to Nick, Lily can go talk to Kyle, so that way they can both get what they want. Before going back, I thought Andy's pick to Nick and to Kyle was valid. I thought it made a lot of sense for them to do that, and I had a lot of, and it would have worked in their best interest as well. But then also at the same time, I mean, from Nick and Kyle's point of view, they also want to assess all options and what they feel like is going to be best. Lily and Nick also said, that they want to take Kyle. Both of them want to take Kyle to them as well because they think they'll beat him easily. So that could also be foreshadowing, maybe, of them being at least.
Well, this is a great time to get Mel's thoughts on what you were just talking about there, James, about the both thinking we'll take Kyle to the end. So we know at the end of this episode, Andy's going to go, and in her thing, she predicts that Kyle might potentially win. And we heard that from Tyler last week as well. Where are we seeing Kyle's game here that some people are viewing Kyle as a potentially easy beat at the end? Some people are viewing Kyle as like a serious threat to win this. Mel, can you talk us through Kyle a little bit? Like, what have we got? Who is he? Like, what's he all about?
It's funny because I was saying to James the other day, like, I feel like people must think I'm obsessed with Kyle because we've seen so little that every time someone comes on the pod, I'm like, so what's your relationship with Kyle? Who's Kyle friends with? Because, we haven't got that much information, but I've been really pleased to see that the last few episodes, he did finally get his confessional, and you did start to see a little bit of strat coming from him. I know that Lily and Nick both said that, they want to take him to the end because he hasn't done much. But if you remember going back to comments from Tyler on her exit interview with us, she was talking about how he's playing a really subtle game, which I do tend to agree with. It might not be loud and bold, and a subtle game can be really hard to win. But given his seemingly popularity, if he gets to the end, he may well be a shot depending on who he goes up against.
So, James, you're the master of the subtle game.
Thank you for finally acknowledging
that. So could Kyle? Can you see Kyle winning this?
I personally think out of the four of them, I feel like Kyle has probably played. His game isn't as loud as the other three. I feel like the other three have probably a little bit more credit to their game than what Kyle could probably offer at the end in comparison. That's kind of my take because you got Lily and Liam. They can both say that they came from came to the merge and minority numbers fought the way then from the bottom. You got Nick who's saying he was going to be part of the Alex vote out, being part of the Tyler vote out as well. So that out of Kyle hasn't really got necessarily a standout move or thing he can really hang his hat on.
So we saw amongst all this, we saw amongst the chat there, and this is probably, I think, the first time in the series that we've seen it, where Nick and Lily came together for what was, I'd say, a serious strategy conversation rather than just a bit of banter with each other. And I think that you can see that they've got each other's back, obviously, in terms of going as far as they can. Now, obviously, someone has to cut somebody at some point unless they want to go head-to-head at the end. But I got the feeling that Nick was serious about protecting Lily, and Lily was serious about protecting Nick here in this vote. So if we have the idea of Liam and Lily coming from the tribe that was decimated, and then we've got potentially something there with Nick and Lily that they may have come back into the game. And Nick talks in his confessional about it's the people you know. And so people like to go with the themes of their season when they're playing through there. Could that spell trouble for Kyle in the next one? Or are we going to see Liam? I don't know the question I'm asking here, but I'm trying to get an idea now, I guess, of we know Andy goes in this episode. So where do some of the others sit with their chances to win this game? So where do you think Nick set himself up? Having this obviously something with Lily and something with the boys. How do you think he's going to go there, Mel?
I still think I keep coming back to the edit. So from my point of view, looking at the edit, they wouldn't have brought up this sibling rivalry for no reason whatsoever. Mm-hmm. I truly, and based on Nick's commentary this week or on the last episode, while they were both okay to keep each other this round, Nick said it like she's fine this round, but I'll get her next. Like I truly believe, based on the edit, that Lily is going a long way. I think Lily's going to be there in the final, so that would make sense to me. That Lily must win. She's going to be there. I'm rooting for Lily to be there in the end. So I reckon Lily's going to win immunity next round. Nick can't vote her out, but Nick is safe. So realistically, it's going to come to me. My mind, it's going to come down to Liam or Kyle. And if I was any of them, I would probably be voting out Liam. I don't know. I don't know. It's down to one of those two boys for me. That's what I'm thinking.
So, Mel, we had a very subtle moment there. You talk about Nick being safe. Can you talk us through that? Because there was a very subtle moment in the show. I actually thought he was just playing a bit of a game with the others until later on in the episode, but talk us through. Why is Nick safe?
Nick found a little hidden immunity idol in his little armchair there, and you could tell he got really excited. He had his hand in his little pocket, and he did like, you know when they do the cartoons where their eyes come. I don't know how anyone didn't see that, but put his little hand in the pocket of the chair and found a little idol. And he did well actually to get it out of that and not anyone not see him. I don't think it looked like people saw him.
No, I don't think they did either.
Yeah, and it looked like he read the clue while he was doing his vote, so which basically said that it could be played at Final Four, which, can I just say, in a normal season, I would think that's a bit shit, but it's only 10 of them, so I guess it's forgivable for a Final Four. Normally it's Final Five, so...
And I think that when I'd say post Andy interview here this evening, and we sort of talk about our predictions for next week into the finale, we'll talk about that a little bit more there, because I think we've all got some thoughts on that. So James, before we get into the vote, can you just take us through? It's not looking super good for Andy at this stage, but there's still obviously the chance for Lily. What could Andy have done differently? Could she have done anything differently to get herself through and to survive this vote?
I honestly don't think Andy could have done anything differently. I think she put it all out on the table for a place, given valid reasons and evidence and as to why people should keep her. Because she, by playing on the fact that people would see her as an easy vote out, could isn't great at challenges. In the words of some people, where she throws them is the perception that some other people have. So I feel like differently to save herself, and I definitely think she was saying had merit. And if I was Kyle and Nick, and I was in there, I think it was a mistake to vote out Andy.
Really stretching out the Andy name there, James. But so you're saying there's a mistake by Kyle and James.
Her and Lily ended up getting a little bit of a debate as well.
Yep.
Can I just say what I think she did wrong was the week before. She voted Tyler out one round too early is what she did wrong.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point there, Mel, because obviously Tyler was looking at taking Andy through to the finish and getting rid of Tyler at that stage. It's certainly been a game of if you're prepared to be the person to make the big move, the target moves to you. And we saw that with Tyler taking out Alex. She became the target. Then Andy became the target. Where do we go from here? So, yeah, it'd be interesting to hear Andy's thoughts in a few moments' time, but I tend to agree with you, Mel. Sorry, James.
I got a question. If you feel like that Andy took out too early, and say if Andy didn't, she took Tyler to 5, and say, Cole goes instead, then Andy's been probably in the worst position in the game too, or if she actually did make it to them. So she was actually trying to give herself a chance. So, if she didn't take out Tyler, how do you kind of see her game playing out from there?
I'm not saying that she wouldn't take Tyler out. I think that she should have taken her out this round. She still would have been able to claim that as a move.
But Tyler, I see what you're saying. So if
connection to Liam and also to Nick, though, so there wouldn't have been a maneuver at final 5.
What would be interesting though is that Nick. I don't think Nick was firmly committed to a particular camp, and would there potentially been an avenue there to bring in the Lily, Nick, Andy to take over the other side? And it's all hypothetical. Who knows? But I get your point, because Tyler obviously had the connection to Liam. Liam was loyal to Tyler, so the numbers become more difficult to wrangle for Andy later on. So she probably needed to eat the mealworms.
She wasn't. She didn't look keen to do those at all.
Should have taken it off the table. I've known people to take food off the ground, Mel. Do you want to bring Andy in?
Can you do anything?
So before Mel brings Andy in a moment, is there anything else you want to comment on from the gist of the episode? Because obviously we'll talk about where things are going for next week later on.
I thought we got a really couple of great zingers from Kyle at Tribal.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so Kyle, the facial expressions we had from Kyle at Tribal was great. And then I also thought he had a couple of really great one-liners when Sam was to him, hey, when it was to Sam, Kyle was
does Kerry know one of you? Because I'd love to know which one of you ate the cake out of the bin.
I think it was you, Malcolm.
No,
you tell me the story before we went to air, Malcolm.
Isn't that George Costanza from Seinfeld?
That's a story for another time, James. All right, Mel, I think it's time to introduce our latest boot in Andy and bring her in, and let's find out her thoughts on the game.
Hopefully Aston's here to do that, Malcolm. Yes. So, hey, Andy. How are you?
Hello.
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Andy.
Hello.
So how was it? How was it watching the episode this week? It's never fun being voted out, but you gave it a red hot crack. You fought right to the end. Well done.
Yeah, I'd probably say it was actually a little tough. Being called not a challenge threat at all. I was like, well, thanks, guys. Yeah, and I wish I gave people a little bit more chance to talk as well, and maybe wasn't so pinned on getting Lily. Maybe being open to someone else could have gone another way.
Yeah, had you ever thought about working with Lily, or you just thought that was going to be the easiest way to get everyone on board?
I think I was open to really work with anyone, but I don't know whether Lily would have been open to work with me, because I think she was pretty set on that. And I think if I just went and threw names out there, I don't think anyone would want to work with me, because they would just see me as taking who I need to get through, no loyalty kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just say, Andy, that hearing the comments about being challenge weak, so to speak, you may have been playing with the fittest, most physical cast that has played an LRG game straight off the bat. So if being challenge weak amongst a cast like that is what gets you called challenge weak, take that with some pride, I reckon, Andy.
Yeah, I don't even think it was just that. I think I probably was a bit better at the challenges earlier on. But I found as they went on, they were using a different skill set. That obviously wasn't my strongest. And even with the one where you were holding the pole, like I like made one slip up and I was gone. Like I really was trying. I wasn't just sitting back thinking I could ride through. Yeah, I was giving it my best shot. Yeah.
It doesn't take much.
Except for the mealworms.
Sort of
I do not like mealworms.
They really do.
Or pineapple on pizza. I do not like pineapple on pizza.
That's forgivable.
All right. Can I also throw out? I was meant to be on last week's podcast, Andy, but couldn't make it. But after I watched the episode, we've got a little Brisbane Survivor podcast chat that we just throw things into and whatever. And my thing was like, what an episode, what a move. I personally think the move that you made on Tyler, and we'll be happy to get your thoughts on whether you went too early, it was the right move at the right time, whatever. But I thought it was an outstanding move because at that point, all I could see that was Tyler was cruising to victory here. And you watch so many Survivor games where nobody makes the move on the player that seems to be ruling the game. The fact that you did that, I thought it was sensational. Great job. Do you think you made it at the right time, or should you have done something differently?
I think it's hard to say. I think we can play what ifs, but the thing is, what if she won the next challenge, then she's through to the final 3? I think at that point as well, I didn't really have much of a resume at all. I had made no moves, which, winning challenges is a move within itself. So I do think I am lucky that I got to ride through on that wave. But yeah, I think I made the right decision at the right time. I think it just popped me in an unfortunate spot. I do think maybe when I got out of the mealworm challenge, it might have been a great idea to talk to the people on the sideline, kind of get to them first before they got back to tribal and had made up their mind. Yeah.
Well, I'll say I have the greatest respect for it because I'm a big believer that when you're playing Survivor, you should be playing to win. And sometimes you have to take a risk to put yourself into a position to win. Sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. And so kudos to you.
Thank you.
No, I agree with Malcolm. I think it was a fantastic move. And barring what happens in the finale, I definitely think at this stage it's definitely leading contender for like the move of the season by far. I thought it was great timing. But I think also being hard on yourself by saying you had no moves up until that point because you took the Kit Kats from the Soames tribes. That's a move.
That is true.
We've just got Shannon Carroll Green, who I'm guessing is connected to the Greens in some way, Sam's mum, and she is keen for the finale and what is going to go down this week and another great episode on Wednesday. Sorry for the interruption. I'll let Mel go back to it now.
Yeah, I want to know how what level awkwardness it was when you got to the jury after voting out Tyler, your friend, the week before, because I know how awkward it can be when you hit the jury. So, like, I'm assuming everything's all good with you guys now, but I could imagine it was a little bit awkward when you first walked in.
Well, yeah, I suppose so. I don't really remember, but at the same time, I don't think she really had any insight that I like orchestrated it.
Right.
Because what you guys didn't see was we actually passed ways halfway through, and she was like, "Oh, Andy, like, am I safe? Like, am I going out?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you're fine. What are you talking about?" So I think she had really no idea that I had orchestrated it. And so when we got in there, I kind of got to see the first facial expression when I told her. So, yeah.
Nice.
Good. Yeah. So who had you thought about going to the end with I mean, obviously, like, things did turn around quite quickly in that last episode, but did you have him after you voted out Tyler? Did you have in your mind like you wanted to go to say final? Because I don't know if it's final 2 or 3, but let's just call it final 3. Did you have in mind who you wanted to take there?
Not really. From my perspective at that point, no one had particularly played a big game from what I could see. So a lot of it was subtle and I had no knowledge of that. So for me, no one really seemed like a risk at this point. Liam, I felt like I had made a little bit of like a connection with. I was like, maybe we've got something going here, but looking back, I think he really wasn't making any alliances. He was just playing the game. Yeah, so I don't think I really had anyone on my side, which I don't think was lack of me trying. I think just when we won all the challenges, there was no alliances made because I didn't have to make any moves with anyone. Yeah. So there was nothing to build something off, sadly.
Yeah, I do tend to agree with that. I think when you go to tribal in the earlier part of the game, you kind of get tribal hardened and you get to test some alliances a bit early. So yeah, I mean, I can kind of get where you're coming from that angle.
Yeah, I do wish I lost one, just at least to have something to build off, because it felt very much like when we'd voted people out, it was a team vote out. But there was obviously smaller alliances going on that were a lot stronger than anything I had. Yeah. True.
And Brisbane Survivor, I'm assuming, I don't know if this is Sam or whether it's someone else in the Brisbane team. Curious to know how Tyler is. So I don't know, obviously Tyler's not here and can't answer. What was your thoughts on how, I mean, you kind of already said that she didn't know it was you. So was she surprised that she left when she did?
That Tyler got voted out when she did.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It was a while ago. I do think, as Tyler mentioned in her podcast, she did kind of sense that it was coming. Yeah, and me going next just makes sense, you know, if she finds out that I was the one who did the move, which she did find out when I was leading the team. I think it would make a lot of sense for me to go next.
Yeah.
Hey, Mel, I'm waiting for your question about Kyle. Your obsession with Kyle, you've asked all the guests.
I'm completely obsessed with Kyle because we don't see much about him. So I've pretty much been asking everyone, like, who is he aligned with and who's he working with and what's he about? So to give us your spiel on Kyle, because, you know, I can't break with tradition now.
I think everyone had, this is just a guess, obviously, but everyone had like a little bit of a soft spot. You can even tell when he couldn't participate in the challenge. Everyone's like, no, we can't vote for him. But I think everyone just saw him as the down-to-earth, genuine guy, like who was good at challenges. So yeah, I think that was probably it. I don't know. It was so long ago to know what I was thinking.
Yeah, and I probably shouldn't ask this question, but I'm going to anyway. So you know these. Sorry, Sam, but you know these people very well. So, in your opinion, do you feel like people would vote for him over someone that's like strategy based?
Ooh, dangerous question, Mel.
Yeah, is that how you would perceive it, regardless of whether it's Kyle or not? Do you think, as a whole, the group would vote that way?
I think it's really about how you sell it. Yeah. So if he can justify his gameplay better than someone else, then I reckon, you know, he'd have it. But if the other person could explain their side better, then they're probably more likely to have it. So I think it's just all about how you sell it and justify how you played the game.
True. Kerry has a question. She said, Andy, what is it like to watch 3 years on? Would you do something differently now? 3 years is a lot of time. It is indeed.
Yeah. It was actually really hard to watch. Because I'm actually quite a different person now. Well, I would consider than I was then. I'm probably a lot less sassy. So watching that, I was like, whoa, I forgot that I was like that. And I think I would just have played probably a lot different. Yeah, so it was actually pretty hard to watch, but it was also interesting to see how much I've changed that time.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I got a question for Andy. I got a question. So you kind of touched on it when you first came in, that you kind of felt a little bit too much. Like, in terms of, what are some things that you feel like you probably said that you probably would have like say Nick and Cole, to get them on your side to really and to work with you? What do you feel like you could have probably said or not said?
Oh, that's hard. If I think back when I was talking with Kyle, he went to say Nick's whispering in everyone's ears. and I didn't like. I think I was just like wanting to say what I was saying, but I should have stopped and been like, "Oh, what do you mean?" And make him feel like heard, and being like, "Oh, like, what do you think we can do about that?" Make it more like of a team move, and give him some power in the situation. And then, yeah, with Nick, I don't know. When I watched back him talking to his sister, I was like, I watched it and I was like, she's got him. I was like, I can't do anything. It was very genuine the way that he talked to her. So I don't know if there was much I could do. They seemed quite set on their ways. Yeah. I remember when I was playing, it was really hard because I felt like I can't do more than I'm doing, but like I'm trying so hard just to shift something, but it just seemed like everyone was pretty closed off, or when they'd listen, but they may not actually like give you anything. And I think you can tell when someone's playing the game and they want to input or contribute, they'll generally give you something. So when I knew that I was getting nothing, I was like, oh, let's just hope that something changes, but it really wasn't looking good. Yeah.
That
like, I know what you mean, like position myself, like talk to or get through. Again, not necessarily much. I mean, it can be difficult, and it's like, and in a way, sometimes that can also then cause you maybe going a little bit into like overdrive to really try and like put a little bit more like, you know, foot in the pedal. Like that's that little bit more, even when you could probably just back off a little bit. And you know, say that from pretty similar from experience to what you went through that round.
I think it's also like you have to pick what play you're going to do to get out of it, and you're going to have to stick to it. So I don't think like once I had made the decision that was how I was going to play, there was no point in changing it, because that would just look like scrambling and kind of like take away from that play as well. Yeah.
So Andy, in the episode, obviously, like at no point did it look like anybody other than yourself or Lily was even on the table to be considered. Was there any possibility at all that you and Lily could have tried to have come together to change that around, or was that never even on the table? Like, did you just consider it is going to be one of us?
Potentially. I don't know. I didn't really consider it. I also I listened to the way that Lily was talking about me, and I felt like she really just wanted to get me out of there. I think she felt like she'd been fighting so hard, and I'd kind of been cruising through. So I just don't know if she would have been willing to play with me. And I think as well, since everyone had said like, oh, Andy's the clear vote, it's like, why would you switch to play with someone who's potentially going home over you? Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, she was also pretty she seems like a pretty loyal person, and I think she was like with Liam probably all the way. I think it would be Liam who would have flipped on her before she did.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think those two will stay together 100%. Yeah. So have you question, so I know you actually are a Survivor fan, right? Have you ever applied for the real show?
When I was younger, I always used to say, wait for me, because I'll be on that show. Because I think if you really want something, you can try hard enough. But I have changed a lot since 3 years ago. So I'm sad to say I don't really watch Survivor anymore.
Oh, really?
But at the time of playing, I was, a massive Survivor fan.
Oh, that's a shame.
With Andy, because you feel like you have changed, and you don't have to answer this if you don't feel comfortable, but do you feel like part of the reason why you may have changed or maybe not a Survivor fan was maybe because of an experience you had in Brisbane Survivor, or is it other factors potentially?
No, it wasn't because of Brisbane Survivor. Like, that was a really great experience. I would probably just say like I kind of stopped watching reality TV, and then Survivor was the only one I watched, and then the next year I didn't. I also don't love lying, as I said in my intro thing. I just don't like lying and deceiving people. So yeah.
Oh, that's nice. So I know you said you wouldn't want to play again. Does that mean that you aren't going to be involved in season 2, or will you still?
Yeah, probably not.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a shame. But, you know, everyone, as you said, people do change as you get older. So fair enough.
Yeah. It has been a great experience. I do enjoy watching it back, and me and Tyler talk about all of that stuff all the time, my little backstab and stuff. So, yeah. I actually said to her, I was like, oh, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I really didn't mean to. And she was like, you know, she was talking about the picture, the meme of me backstabbing her. And I was like, that's like slightly intense. And she's like, that's exactly what you did to me. And I was like, yeah, that's true.
James, the damage you're going to cause.
James causing damage to real friendships here.
No, we're all good. We're all good.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it, Andy. Like, you're very just, whether intentional or not, like your sassiness from like the 3 years ago, there were definitely some really great memorable moments from you throughout the season. And hey, there might be even a couple more tonight. But no, but you know, it's good to know a moment between yourself as well.
Yeah. I'm happy I'm a little less sassy though.
Yeah.
So I guess we can take it. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I've got one last question. So I guess, like, given that the season was about the people you know, if you had a choice and Sam didn't hand out, you know, Sam wasn't in charge of making the tribes. If you could pick 4 people to be in your opening tribe, who would you have picked?
Oh, hard question.
You got to have one sacrificial lamb in there.
I think I was pretty content with my tribe, honestly. I don't think I really would have changed much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I think, like, yes, I know Georgia and stuff, but even with like Tyler, like, I know she says like, oh, it was me and her to the end. I never heard that once. So for me, it was kind of like there has been no reassurance. There has been no plays made by the both of us. And I know what a strategic player she is. So for me, it was kind of like the Survivor context is a new context. We're playing the game as it goes. So therefore, anything that existed before, I'm not going to carry over into it. So for me, in relation to the relationships, like, they can mean nothing and they can mean something at the same time. And I know someone has the capacity to like be strategic and backstab me. I'm like, I'm going to have my eyes open the whole time. And if you're not indicating that you're playing with me in the game, then I'm just going to assume that you're just using me as a number.
I think you make a good point, because when you play the game, you have that aspect of the relationships of the people that you play with are real, but the backstabbing, the lying, it's just part of the game. It's not a personal, or very rarely a personal. So I was going to say, based on the fact that you don't watch Survivor anymore, I'm assuming that if the opportunity to play again came up, you wouldn't take it?
I don't think so. I know for me, like, I know it's just a game. But when I think about the real Survivor, I kind of just think like go spend 40 days with someone and have them backstab you and think, will it hurt or not? And I think like words are really powerful. So even though it's just a game, I think there can be actual damage caused there, especially when there's relationships involved. Yeah,
it takes some. You have to be a bit hard in this game, don't you? You know, it isn't for everyone.
Yeah.
Do you think that's potentially tougher in a game where you basically know everybody who's playing versus if you'd have played in a game with just all strangers?
I think I probably would have preferred to play a game with all strangers. Just because even if you look at the Lily and Nick interaction, the fact that he could give her such, like, just say a line and that's all the reassurance she needs. Whereas if you had said that line to someone you didn't know, they would still be second guessing it. So I just think in a game where you don't know anyone and it's purely based on how you're playing the game and the relationships you're forming in the game, I think really shows how you play strategically. Yeah,
good point.
James?
Well,
I guess sort of like Yeah, my last sort of question before we sort of finish up is what was going through? I kind of touched on it before, but what was going through when you put Kit Kats?
Honestly, I watch it back and I think that's not how you make friends. Like, if these people are really triggered about you taking their chocolates, they're gonna vote you out. Like, this is not how you make friends. But in the moment, I was just like, hand it over. Like, stop being so entitled. I won this fair and square. Don't hold it back. So, yeah. I was very excited to have them as well. I know it was just one day, but I was just so excited to eat the food, honestly. And it tastes so much sweeter when it wasn't yours, you know.
Yeah, James and I would do anything if we could have stolen food from people, man.
Food just kept falling from the sky, Mel.
Oh,
I don't know if you've watched our season, Andy, but one of the tribes got a lot of food and the other tribe not so much.
To be exact, a total of 0 grams of food for one tribe.
Yeah, the only food that James and I got was in the gross eating challenge. That's pretty much it.
And you know, when people are hungry, that's when it always, you know, it gets dirty when people are hungry. So
let me say I ate fish eyes, Andy, and I wouldn't have done that unless I was starving.
I think I would rather starve, but that's just me.
Yeah, it wasn't very filling either.
Is there anything else you want us to let us know, Andy?
Not really. No, I think that's probably it.
Yeah, was there anything that happened in the game that didn't make it to the edit that you wanted to share?
Probably the me and Tyler experience, which I already mentioned. And I think there was little interactions that for me, it made me feel a little bit more secure, like I could play with people. That you guys, I think, you guys probably missed a little bit of the personal interactions and people just genuinely hanging out, which I think really creates more depth for the show, which is, it's just natural to miss that. But yeah.
Oh, well, we've all loved watching you, as we said.
Definitely,
one of the best moves of the season. Obviously, there's still another ep to go, but you know, it would have been hard to do that to your friend. But you know, as we said to Tyler, we got it. We knew exactly why you did it. And it's not something that any of us wouldn't have not done. So you can't feel bad for it. You should feel yay me, I did that, you know. So
and incredible bragging rights to hold forever, Andy.
Thank you. I actually got a little bit excited. So I think the reason you guys may not have noticed that I didn't claim the move during the confessional was because well, it was because I was supposed to suggest it and then I accidentally got excited. And because people were not believing me, I was like, I need to prove this. I really need to prove this. Instead of being have you guys leaving it more as an open conversation that everyone's inputting, which I think happened often in the game, as you saw in my exit, hanging my head and calling everyone goats, which I honestly do not remember saying that no one's playing the game. So I definitely am a bit of an emotional person.
That's all right. No, you were great to watch, Andy. You played well.
Thank you.
You fought to the very end, as well. You know, you see sometimes some players just go down without a fight, just getting picked off. But yeah, you fought to the very end, which is very commendable. And definitely in Brisbane Survivor, won't be forgotten anytime soon.
Thank you.
So just before you go, Andy, so Kerry Carroll, I don't know if you know Kerry or not, but I'm guessing that she's a fixture up there somewhere. She's commented about the fact there's the Brisbane Watch Party on Wednesday, which is at the Hotel West End, and I believe that Sam has put an open invite out on Facebook in regards to people who are in the area might want to come along. Now, Aston's just taken that off the screen. I don't know what the second part was. I think it was Kerry can't make it, but she'd love to have met you all as she's been fully invested in the season. But hopefully some people who are in the Brisbane area that have been watching the series can get out there. And I believe that Sam is going to be doing a live reunion with you all straight after the episode.
Yeah, I believe so.
So it should be exciting to see. Apparently, first round is on Sam Green. Now, I don't know if Aston has written that or if Sam has written that.
That might be.
Well, I'll definitely be there for that.
All right. Well,
now.
Thank you very much, Andy. It has been a pleasure. And we wish you all the best for whatever it is that you are doing in life now. But thanks for coming and joining us.
That's all good. Bye, guys.
You.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.
Sam, say what?
I thought Sam was putting the the key word out there. If you just go up to Sam and say what, he will buy you the first drinks. And that's safe for me to say living down here in Sydney. Good luck, Sam. Well, that was a pleasure.
If Sam first round, what are the two of you ordering?
It'll have to be an Uber for us, Mel. That was a pleasure to have Andy, like a lot of the cast, or like the cast that we've seen so far, and we're going to hopefully meet the last four next week. Once again, another pleasure for the cast interviews and a lot of really cool information.
Yeah. It's sad that she doesn't watch Survivor anymore. I guess it's not everyone's cup of tea, but yeah, I just thought once it's in your blood, it's in your blood, right?
Oh, look, you hear about a lot of people, they tune out for a little while and then they come back to it later on. So maybe Andy will come back to the show down the track somewhere. And if she doesn't, then so be it. Do we want to do the awards and the memes first and then talk about our thoughts for next week and going into the finale? Or would you like to talk about the finale first and then do the awards and the memes?
I'll just go with the flow. Mel, you tell us what you want us to do.
All right.
Good little children.
Let's go into the awards first, eh? Outwit, Outlast, and Outplay. I believe I'm doing Outwit, and I'll kick us off. So, Outwit, I had to think about this for a little bit, but I have decided to give the Outwit award to Nick. And my thoughts behind this is that, particularly when we saw the chat with Nick and Lily, I got that vibe there that Nick has really sort of played everybody into a spot where he wants them. And I think that he's done that really, really well. So he's got the option next week of going with the Boys Alliance, or we've got the option of if Liam and Kyle are dead set of going together, but he wants to take one of them out, then take the risk of going with his sister and at the same time potentially playing the idol to save himself or to save Lily and take the third person into the final three if we're having a final three and not a final two. But we'll talk about that bit in a bit shortly. So congratulations to Nick. All right, who's doing Outlast?
No, it's Outplay is next, and that's James.
Right. Outplay, James.
Yeah, Outplay, pretty simple one this week. Has to go to Liam. Liam absolutely blitzed that challenge. He literally had everything, there on a silver platter.
I think it was white.
It wasn't what. Okay. Either or, he pretty much all time. So he did a first meal. Big time to tuck in, bib, getting that the challenge. He dominated. But for everyone else, it seemed like it really was, I think, a blowout by Liam this round.
Slate it.
Excellent.
All right.
3/4
outlasted. All right, what about for Outlast?
My Outlast, I'm actually in a little bit of a dilemma, if I'm honest, because there's part of me that wants to give it to Kyle, because Kyle's name's come up 3 episodes in a row, and he's just managed to, fly under the radar there. But I think this week I can't not give it to Lily. Like, she fought so hard to get her point, and she could have very well been the easy vote. She fought hard. She put the right target. As much as there was part of me that wanted her to work with Andy, she definitely pinpointed the right target in which the boys would be able. The boys would end up voting that way. I think it would have been harder for her to put it on another player. So I think she was smart to keep it to Andy. And she is one of the last blue and the only blue that didn't have the immunity necklace. So that in itself, she did well to ensure that it was on Andy. And some of her arguments were actually quite good. I think she needs to watch out for that naughty brother of hers. But outside of that, I think she deserved Outlast this week.
And can we just throw an honourable mention out there to, once again, Alex featuring a couple of times in the episode with his little Pikachu face that I have heard about. So it's good to see Alex back.
Alex Spletive.
All right, now we're going to apparently we've got 1,000 memes coming up. No, but if Aston is working away in the background there, and James, if you could share your thoughts and fill us in, because you had us totally stumped on the first one last week, mate, but don't worry about explaining it now. Aston, have you got any lined up for us? Here we go.
Yeah, so I mean, there's 3 things in life, you life lessons. You should never ask a woman her age, never ask a man his salary. Those 2 things are just, common courtesy, manners. I'm going to add a third to that. You should never ask anyone to vote for Queen Lily, because anyone that's brought up Lily has gone home. We've seen it with Tyler. We saw it with I also saw it with even with Georgia. Anyone that's brought up Lily's name even slightly has gone home. So
gone. Interesting. Round 2, Aston.
Yeah, Liam, absolutely. He seemed to really be enjoying the challenge. He enjoyed the freshness of the worms, which makes me think he's a bit of a connoisseur when it comes to this type of cuisine. So he has a few boxes he needs to tick when it comes to his worms, and
I like it. That's good.
Yeah, so this is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, Liam once again absolutely beamed when it came to the challenge. He did absolutely thrive, while everyone else's reactions were like and disgusting. Like, really, we have to eat this.
Next up, Aston.
No,
it's still good.
Yeah, so Andy going and calling out, if people, it's obviously you guys are being subtle about being sarcastic, but then she's being subtle, in a voice in her head, telling her, "Well, be subtle. I'm going to call everyone over, and we're gonna flip it up really." That little voice inside the head, "Don't do it, don't do it." And she goes and does it.
You should have made the black hoodie pink, and it would have been her rain jacket from the previous episode.
All right, next up.
Beam we should collaborate. Yeah, so once again, another one at the food eating challenge. This was a very wonderful buffet of memes.
And is there one more, Aston?
In the final round.
Poor Kyle. Never even got a shot.
Oh, we lost James.
That's right.
James. Oh,
Would that be corrected? That's the last of the memes there, isn't it? All right. So
yes, that's the final.
We go into the finale next week, and we have 4 potential people to win this game. We've got Nick, 3/4 of the Embers podcast first boot. We've got Lily, the other quarter of the podcast first boot. And then Liam and Kyle, who I'm pretty sure Aston said there were going to be no males in the top 5. I think we excelled in our predictions on this one, people. So why not just continue that record off with our what's going to happen in the last episode. So we saw that Nick in the Idol reading wrote something about due to the abbreviated game or something. I can't remember the words. But basically the Idol was good for Final 4. And that implied that Nick will be able to play it next week, and in playing it, guarantee himself a spot in the Final 3, which certainly got me thinking that are we actually looking at a Final 2 here rather than a Final 3? Firstly, what are your thoughts? Are we looking at a Final 2 or a Final 3? James, you start us off there.
Yeah, James, yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's a Final 3, just purely because if it's a Final 2, then if it's a 4-4 vote, then, I mean, you haven't really, unless you do a challenge, you haven't got anything to break the tie. So that's, for me, the sole reason I think it will be a Final 3.
Yeah, I started off the season thinking it was going to be a Final 2 purely because of a cast of 10. But I don't think that anymore. I do think it's going to be a Final 3. I can't see with the episodes being as short as they have that all of a sudden we're going to have 2 voted out and a tribal council. And even if it is a episode that's 3 times the length of what it normally is, you still wouldn't fit all of that really in. So I do feel like it's going to be a Final 3, yes.
So if we've interpreted that Idol correctly and it is a Final 3, overpowered?
I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say overpowered. I feel like the intention of that Idol was really like for it to be played in this round, which is that clearly someone else found it. But like given that it's 10, a cast of 10, I feel like it is fair. I'm never a fan of like, idols. Even 5 feels a little bit late in the game at some stage. Like I kind of do feel like idols should only be the Final 6, even in a normal season. So I guess given that it's normally like 16 players and they've only got 10, 4 does feel right.
Yeah, there's a spoiler alert from Cam Armstrong, but I'm really not sure what that is referring to. Maybe there's a comment or something. I'm not sure.
Oh, don't put that up then. Take that off if it's a spoiler.
Oh, here we go. I've heard an inside whisper that the next episode comes in at 3 times the length of episode 2.
Well, there you go. So that's an hour and a half. So, episode 2. I'm Googling.
I think one was slightly shorter. So, we're still talking a bit over an hour.
I'm going to find out how long episode 2 was.
So, I'm just going to cut very short answers for these. Pro and con for Nick winning the game.
Pro and con, I think.
Short answer.
I'll start with the con. I think the con for Nick winning the game, that he's already people are already aware of what he's doing. Like Cole's already called him sly and sneaky, which could create him being a target, or maybe some people seem a bit, bit dirty when it comes to gameplay. Pro, after Tyler, I think he's been the most strategic, had a lot of control in the game, which would hold him in, and a lot of agency within as well.
All right, so Mel, I've got to ask you your fave. So Kyle, the pro and con for winning the game.
The pro is that he seems to have really great relationships and just seems to be like a legendary human, really. I think it's someone that people would easily vote for or not feel I don't think even if they don't think he's played a strategic game, and that regardless of whether it's subtle, I still feel like he's the type of person that people would be happy to vote for. Who was the other one? Sorry, I was kind of.
No, just the pro and the con for Kyle to win. I think you just go both.
Because he's not been overtly strategic. Like, it doesn't mean that he hasn't. And James and I have had this kind of discussion before in the past about what is strategic. Like, if you don't verbalize your strategy, it's not necessarily a perceived strategy, if you know what I mean. It doesn't mean that the player wasn't strategic. If you can come in at the end of the game and sell the fact that you were a quiet strategist and you sell it and you can show why that was a benefit of your game, then he might be able to pull it off. But I can't see that coming from Kyle.
And then James, Liam, the pro and the con. As James is in deep thought there, he's really considering what Liam is bringing to the game, and
I think
basically said, here we go. All right, well, while James is considering on that one, Mel, can you
yeah, I think the pro.
All right, James, I'm timing you out. Mel, Lily, the pro and the con.
Lily is a beast. Like, she's been so great at challenges pretty much the whole season. You can see that the last few, she's been, outside of the pole one where she clearly didn't understand the rules about where her hands needed to be. She's been really like up there in the challenges. So from a challenge perspective, she's great. She's from a strategic point of view, she's been one of the, outside of Tyler, Nick, Alex, those four have really been the stronger strategic players. And hell, she's the last woman standing. So, they're all pros. Next, she's got a great story. If I'm, her and Liam, they've fought right from the get-go. They've been to all but one tribal council.
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah, I mean, that underdog story is something that, I mean, she's a triple threat at the moment. Her and Liam are triple threats. So, yeah.
So fair to say that Liam is looking at a lot of the same pros and cons that Lily is?
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So, James, what's the pros and cons for Liam?
Sorry, the Liam.
Yeah, so I think the pros for Liam, I think he's had a really great underdog story. He can be the only person who's been through every single tribal council and survived. I think challenge-wise has been very competitive in the one-on-ones that like in the tribal phase and also individually. I think the cons for Liam, sometimes he hasn't he's probably lacked a little bit of strategy that was out there and forthcoming. And I also feel like that sometimes with Liam, I feel like he's probably sometimes seemed a little bit oblivious to what's going on at some stages. Like the classic example being knowing Alex had an idol when in reality it appeared to, well, at least in edit, that he had no idea.
Yep. So putting it out there, the final call, James, who wins?
If he makes it to the end, I think Nick wins. I think, to me personally, I feel like Nick has played the best game overall. Had a lot of agency, a lot of power. But I feel like Lily will also be a popular, is a high chance to receive votes at the end as well. But I'm tipping Nick.
Mel, who wins?
I look at you like my brother now, James. So in the spirit of sibling rivalry, I'm going for Lily.
All right, then. So I'm going to put it out there that I know that secretly behind the scenes, from the time the cast was revealed, Aston had a huge soft spot for Liam. So I'm going to let Aston take Liam as the winner of the season. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Aston.
And no, you would be correct.
Just so we share the love around and the fact that I was death riding him for so long, Kyle is going to win Brisbane Survivor.
Oh, I like that we've each picked one. And you know what? I don't know, but there's a really small part of me that wants, if it is a final two, I hope it's the siblings, because that just makes us look pathetic.
But what I will give credit to is that the final four that are sitting there, I think that you can very easily put forward an argument as to why any one of the four can win. And going into a finale, I don't think that we could ask for more than that. And it's just, how does it come down? How does the jury go for it? Who can sell their case and sell their story? And where will the votes go?
Yeah, and I really like that it's a 2-2. It's going to make it an interesting next episode.
And on that note, just before we head off, as we see on the bottom of the screen, the applications for cast and crew for Season 2 Brisbane Survivor are currently open. Check that out. And as we've said before, if you have ever even had a smidgen of a thought about playing one of these games or just wished it, get in there, click the link, apply, and you will have the time of your life. Money back guarantee.
100% agree. Yeah.
All right. The next time we see you, it will be after the finale. We will have an inaugural winner for Brisbane Survivor. And the last thing, I think, in credit to our final four, I think we should send the words out to Liam, with a quote, he said, "I just want to take the strongest people, most competitive, the greatest final four that Brisbane Survivor will ever see. Good luck." Thank you very much. We'll see you